And then question 25a asks, is spirit different? Is spirit independent of matter, or is it only a property of matter, as colors are properties of light and as sound is a property of air? And then the answer is, they are distinct from each other, but the union of spirit and matter is necessary to enable matter to act intelligently. A stone has no intelligence because there's no spirit acting upon it. We have intelligence because we have us, the spirits, acting upon the body. When we say, oh, my spirit, our spirit, no. It doesn't belong to us. We are it. So I, spirit, am in the body. They are distinct from each other, but the union of spirit and matter is necessary to enable matter to act intelligently. And this goes back to question 22 again, that says how matter is defined. And then on part B, we get the following question part B for 25 asks, is this union equally necessary for the manifestation of spirit? And then the answer is, for you, us, it is necessary, because we, you, are not built up to perceive spirit apart from matter. We can't see things that aren't matter, so we need to be incarnated in matter, at least at this point in our evolution, to see things and to act and to work towards our progress. Your senses are not formed to do so yet. And then in item 10 of Genesis, on page 215, we find a little bit of an explanation for this. Bear with me here, please. And it's under a section entitled, The Union of the Spiritual Principle and Matter. So this is going to answer any questions, obviously. And it's item 10, and it says, before matter could be the object of labor of the spirit for the development of its faculties, it was necessary for the spirit to be able to act upon it. And this is why it came to dwell in it like a lumberjack dwells in the forest. Since matter had to be simultaneously the object and instrument of labor, God, instead of joining the spirit to rigid stone, created, organized, flexible bodies capable of both receiving all the impulses of the spirit's will and of lending itself to all its movements. So imagine if we incarnate in a stone. What good is that? What are we going to do? Just sit around. It doesn't make much sense. The body is therefore simultaneously the envelope and instrument of the spirit. And as the spirit acquires new aptitudes, it clothes itself in another envelope that is appropriate for the new type of work that it must perform, just as less heavy tools are employed by those capable of performing more delicate work. Pretty logical to me. And this is why I love Kardec. And then, let's see, question 25b, we went over that. And then there's an added note here that says, in this section we understand spirit to mean the intelligent principle rather than the entities designated by the name. So let's just change our conception of spirit to think intelligent principle. Okay, and then question 26 asks, can we conceive of spirit apart from matter and matter apart from spirit? Can we do that? All right, I'll just read the answer. Absolutely, through thought. I've already explained this, and not me. Kardec already explained this. The spirits already explained this. Because thought is what differentiates matter from us. Because thought is the intelligent principle. It is the spirit. And it is that which acts upon the matter. So that's the answer right there. And then for question 27, excuse me. For question 27, or actually there's another note here, I think. Yeah. That elaborates with a really good analogy on this question. Excuse me. On chapter 11 as well, in page 211 of Genesis, entitled The Spiritual Principle. And it says, and this goes back to that question, the existence of the spiritual principle is a fact which, so to speak, has no more need of demonstration than the material principle. To some extent, it is an axiomatic truth. It is affirmed by its effects, just as matter is affirmed by its own effects. According to the principle, since every effect has a cause, every intelligent effect must have an intelligent cause, there is no one who cannot tell the difference between the mechanical movement of a bell rattled by the wind and the movement of the same bell meant as a signal or a warning, thereby attesting to a thought and intent behind it. I think this is a really good way of putting it. So the bell can move with the wind, but that's just a consequence of a natural event, of something that's produced by nature. There's no intent behind it. But if something's happening and that bell is being rung to warn of an incoming danger, obviously there's an intelligence operating that bell. Or in other words, a spiritual principle, an intelligent principle that's doing so. Now, since it would not occur to anyone to attribute the thought to the physical matter comprising the bell, one must conclude that it was moved by an intelligence that used it as an instrument to manifest itself. Pretty simple. For the same reason, and that's the thing, Kardec is simple, Jesus was simple, our Father is simple. We complicate things. For the same reason, it would not occur to anyone to attribute thought to the corpse of a dead person. Does anyone here think that a dead person is thinking? That is proof. It's just matter. There's nothing in it. There's no longer an intelligence there. And if we see a fetus from conception moving intelligently, what does that tell us? That there's already an intelligence linked to that little zygote within the uterus. So we have to understand all of these things to get an idea of the reality of life. If living persons think, it is because there is something within them that is no longer there when they are dead, obviously. And it's not the brain. The brain is just an instrument or a tool or an organ that helps to decode whatever the spirit brings to it. It's like, I have a computer, and I've alluded to this before, this analogy. I have a computer. It's not going to do anything unless the intelligent principle acts upon it so I can have an output, a result. I'm going to click here and open that application, and because I did it, the computer is going to open the application. The computer will not open the application by itself. No matter if you scream at it, hit it, it's not going to do anything. Same with the car. Yeah, maybe, if those keyless starting or whatever, it might seem like it's starting by itself, but no, obviously the intelligence is acting upon the key fob to make the car turn on or ignite by itself. Not ignite, because that would mean something bad, but at least turn on. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, in question 27, which is the longest one and the second to last question. So are there two general elements in the universe, matter and spirit? And the answer is yes, and over everything is God. So think of a triangle. On one side is spirit, on the other side is matter, on the very top is God. But between matter and spirit, we can imagine a Venn diagram that intersects. And within that intersection is where the spirit acts upon the matter and we have life. But something links the spirit to matter, and we're going to get to that here. Something called the cosmic fluid. The cosmic fluid is what allows matter to come together. Because if it wasn't for this cosmic fluid that's hypothesized here and the spirits tell us about in this book, matter would be in a constant state of dispersion. It would never come together. So God, the creator and author of all, is at the top of this triangle. These three elements comprise the principle of all that exists. They are the universal Trinity. However, to the element of matter must be added the universal fluid, or cosmic fluid, which plays an intermediary role between spirit and matter per se, since matter is too dense for spirit to act upon it directly. And we have a note here that defines what that is, what the cosmic fluid is, or the universal fluid is. And it says the universal cosmic fluid is the primitive elementary matter whose modifications and transformations comprise the innumerable variety of bodies found in nature. So it's like this universal Play-Doh that the Spirit acts on and makes the shapes. The intelligent principle acts upon it, and with this interlinking mechanism, which is the cosmic fluid, it creates the shapes that we know as matter. As a universal elementary principle, it offers two distinct states. So there are two states to it: etherization or imponderability. In other words, we can't see it or can't touch it in this dimension, which is which may be considered the normal primitive state, and materialization or ponderability, which is in a certain way only consecutive to the former, and that's when we can see it. When we can ponder something, we can see it. The intermediary point is a transformation of the fluid into tangible matter. However, even when there is not a brusque transition, because our imponderable fluids may be regarded as a halfway phase between the two states. Okay, it's a little bit much, but if you read into it, you can understand it. And then continuing on the answer for question 27, after talking about the spirit, the universal fluid, although from a certain point of view this fluid may be regarded as part of the material element, it differs from it due to special properties. If it were simply matter, there would be no reason for spirit not to be matter too. It is placed between spirit and matter, yet it is a fluid, just as matter is matter. One note I want to make is that, yes, the term used is spirits. It could be any other term. It doesn't matter, as long as we get the idea of what it is. We think, yes, I'm spirit. There are spirits who are discarnated, not connected to a body. But that's because back in the 19th century, conceptions of life and science and everything else was different. There wasn't really a widely publicized notion of, let's say, extraterrestrials, aliens or something like that, akin to that terminology. So we can say that a spirit is an extraterrestrial. So that means that we are extraterrestrials. But we're incarnated here. But we're also space travelers. But we're briefly on break, taking a vacation on Earth to learn, to grow, to study. We are in our semester before we can go back to our quote-unquote vacation. And it's not really a vacation because the work never ceases. We already heard from Jesus, my Father works to this day and so do I. But it's an interesting way to see things. So we are extra-physical, extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional. We're extra everything. So let us not just think that we are this and that we end when we're in a box and there's a corpse. Because as we've seen here, there's no intelligent principle acting on that corpse anymore. Where did it go? It's got to go somewhere. You can't just disperse into nothing because nothing doesn't exist. It's a simple thing. And continuing on, let's see. I'm sorry, I got lost because I go off on these tangents. So if it were simply matter, there would be no reason for spirit not to be matter too. It is placed between spirit and matter, yet it is a fluid, just as matter is matter. It is in its countless combinations with matter, and under the direction of spirit, the intelligent principle, it is capable of producing an infinite variety of things about which you still know very, very little. Again, putting us in our place. We don't know anything. By being the agent upon which spirit acts, this universal, primitive, or elementary fluid is the principle without which matter would forever remain in a state of dispersion. It would never acquire the properties given to it by gravitation. So we have to think of it this way. We are incarnated in matter. We here on Earth can create things from matter. We can create computers, chairs, houses, any number of things from the matter here on Earth. As this matter leaves the boundaries of Earth, it becomes more quintessential, less ponderable. But this doesn't make it less, you're not limited to how you want to mold it. In actuality, you have more capability to work with it than you would here on Earth because we're limited. So if we can act upon matter and make things out of matter, let's just say that there isn't this one matter that's quintessential and not as dense as ours that can be acted upon by a spirit or an extra physical being, us. So we act upon matter here, we leave here, there is this cosmic fluid that we can act upon with our intelligence and also create things. That's why we know from this that there is no empty space anywhere in the universe. What we think is empty, guaranteed it's filled with something that we don't see. So we say we don't see life anywhere, only here on Earth. Okay, because we only see it with our eyes. Maybe it's another dimension. Let me see. Question 27. And then there's another explanation here from Genesis on page 289, chapter 14, entitled The Action of Spirits Upon the Fluids, Fluidic Creations, Thought Photography. And I'm going to read you item 13 and 14 that talks a little bit about this, talks about this a little bit more. I'm almost done. I know I might be boring you to death, but I'm almost there.
Not to death, discarnation.
Yes, thank you. See?
No problem.
At least somebody's learning something. Okay, so item 13 on page 289 says, the spiritual fluids, which comprise one of the states of the universal cosmic fluid, are, properly stated, the atmosphere for spirit beings. It is the element from which they draw the matter upon which they operate. It is the environment where special phenomena occur. Miracles, anyone? Perceptible to the spirit's sight and hearing, but beyond the corporeal senses. So it's not a miracle. It's just natural. But we think it's a miracle because we don't understand it. So there really is no such thing as miracle, another word that should not be in the vocabulary. But it's a nice word anyway. Yeah, exactly. It's nothing. No, that's it. So let's see. The environment is... Okay. It is where that light, which is particular to the spirit world, is formed, and which is different from ordinary light through its causes and its effects. Finally, it is the vehicle for thought, like the air is the vehicle for sound. So thought acts upon that. And then on item 14, we find spirits act upon the spiritual fluids, but they do not manipulate them like humans manipulate gases. Instead, they use the help of thought and will. So thought is the agent. The matter is the principle. Thought and will are for spirits what hands are to humans. Interesting. You see how we are so limited here. We could be just doing things from thinking of them. And here we have to use this. And this. It makes us wonder, why are we so stubborn that we want to still be here? Going through the problems of earth, learning the things over and over again because we don't want to accept what is right. When not too far away, we can be liberated. Liberated to be able to act upon things with our thoughts, to travel the vastness of space with one thought, faster than warp speed. You think, and you're already on the other planet. You're thinking, the possibilities are amazing, endless. So let's work on our improvement and our betterment so we can actually have this ability. This alone makes me happy to know that tomorrow I'm going to be able to do this. Tomorrow I'm probably very, very far away from it. But still, knowing this makes me feel secure, makes me feel happy, content. It fills that void, that existential void that I have. But that's just me. So thought and will are for spirits what hands are to humans. By means of thought, they impress upon the fluids this or that direction. They agglomerate or come together, combine or disperse them. They form them in ensembles having a single appearance, shape, and certain coloration. They alter their properties as a chemist alters gases or other substances. So here we see the example of what we do here and what's done there. It's all the same thing. The earth is a copy of the extra dimensional world. This is a copy. It is literally like going online, playing an internet game, logging onto that game. You have an avatar, and you do things in that game, and within that game, there's a world. But you're not really in that world. You're outside of it, playing on the computer. Your thought is impressing upon the computer, causing the matter within that program or that game to act. It's the same thing. Our spirit is logged on to the earthly, massive multiplayer online role-playing game. And, we're typing in commands, we're clicking here and there to go over there, do this and do that. That's what it is. There's no difference. It's a very simple way to understand what life is. That's why it's amazing when we see this, because there are kids today who play these games and they're so deep within them that they become the game. They become the game. They can't do anything else but play the video games, which is fine. I mean, you're a child or a kid, you want to play games, that's completely understandable. But when we're humans playing the game of life, that's not understandable. Why do you want to be stuck here and only let this life envelop yourself when there's so much more? Log off a little bit. Log off the game a little bit and go do something else. Having a single appearance, shape, and certain coloration, they alter their properties of chemists, alter gases, combining them according to certain laws. Laws that we don't yet comprehend, obviously. It is a great workshop or laboratory of the spirit. Okay. And now the final question. Since spirits, question 28, since spirit is something in and of itself, wouldn't it be clearer and less subject to confusion to label these two general elements as inert matter and intelligent matter? In other words, inert matter being matter with no intelligent principle, or no thought acting upon it, or intelligent matter, where the spirit is. Can we classify them as such? I think the answer is no, because, it doesn't, in reality, it doesn't make much difference how we label things. And that's what they say here. Words do not matter much to us. It is up to you to formulate your language in a way that you can understand one another. The disputes among you almost always arise because you cannot agree on the meanings of the words you use. That's true, because we all have a different perspective of things. We're all unique. We're all individual entities. So a word may mean something to us that means something else to someone else. An act or something we see might be seen differently to someone else. So much so that it's been proven that some people see certain colors and others see other colors. So we see from that point that there is a difference of understanding. Everybody is different, and that's what makes it so great, because it is this diversity that allows us to learn and grow. And then it goes on, your language is incomplete, again, putting us at our place. And they put us at our place so elegantly. They're not rude. They don't tell us that we're not good enough. But they're telling us, hey, this is where you're at. Be happy with that. You get to where you need to be in the future. And they do this because, why? These spirits were us at one point. They were incarnated in a planet somewhere, maybe not Earth, who knows where. But they were like us, going through the same vicissitudes, same problems, same life, same relationships, perhaps just as stubborn as we are. And they've gone through all of this, and they've learned it. And that's why they're so charitable now when they come back and tell us what we need to do and help us with guidance. Because they don't judge. They don't point the finger. If a father doesn't judge his child, why would a spirit who's been through everything as well judge a spirit who has not yet been through those things? Moreover, why would Jesus judge any one of us? He never did. He told the woman who was about to be stoned, I don't judge you. Go on and sin no longer. So they tell us what we need to do. Go on and sin no longer. Don't make any more mistakes. Go on the righteous path. But you have your free will, and you're going to make that decision. You have to walk with your own two legs. But if you need us, we're here. If you have the ears to hear, we're here. So just pay attention. Forget what's going on in this life. Focus a little bit here. Tune your radio into that frequency so you can receive the melodies that come from divinity. And then the note to finalize from Kardec says, and the thing about free will is that, before I finish, the thing about free will is that it can be limited. We don't have unlimited free will, because our own actions limit our free will in a future life. Let's say we're free to decide on doing a really, really bad deed, committing a severe crime. Consequence of that might be that we imprint upon our future body that's going to reincarnate the consequences of those acts, because our conscience feels guilty. Or perhaps it is imprinted upon our bodies so we do not make the same mistake again. So in this future life, our free will becomes more limited. So we impose limits on ourselves through our own mistakes. God doesn't impose anything. Imposition does not exist in the vocabulary of the divinity. Imposition does not exist in the vocabulary of the Christ. Imposition doesn't exist in the vocabulary of anyone who is nice and kind. A kind person is never going to impose their ideas, their ideals on someone else. They're going to let the other person think for themselves, and perhaps if they are wrong, eventually they're going to find out that they're wrong, and they're going to learn in their own way, but they're going to get there. And then the final note is, one obvious fact dominates all theories. We see matter, which is not intelligent, and we see an intelligent principle that is independent of matter. Nonetheless, the origin of and connection between these two are unknown to us. Whether they have a common origin and necessary points of contact between them, and whether intelligence has its own independent existence or is only a property or effect, as some claim, or even whether it is an emanation of the divinity, this is all unknown to us. Matter and intelligence are distinct as far as we are concerned. Thus, we regard them as being two principles comprising the universe. So there you have it. Above these, however, we see an intelligence dominating and governing all others. Where am I going with this? And it differs from them due to its essential attributes. Hint, hint. It is this supreme intelligence that we call God. So that's it. That's part 2. And next time we do the study, I'm going to talk about the properties of matter and universal space. And this is rather short, so it might go pretty quick, as long as I don't go off on tangents. But anyway, thank you very much for your attention, for your patience, for your tolerance. And as always, hold on. And as always, may God always bless us. May Jesus guide us. May we have the ears to hear those spirits that are around us, so we may do the good deeds, not be stubborn like we always are, and go on that righteous path, and take from this lesson, keep it within us, and carry it forward in our lives. Thank you very much.